I want you to picture something for me. You are sitting at your kitchen table on a Tuesday morning, coffee going cold beside you, scrolling through your phone the way you always do. Nothing is wrong. Nothing feels off. Your husband kissed you goodbye an hour ago. Your sister texted you a heart emoji the night before. Everything is fine. And then a name you barely recognize lights up your screen, and the message underneath it says, "I think you need to see these. I am so sorry." 50 screenshots. That is what was waiting for me on the other side of that tap. 50 screenshots of a conversation between my husband and my own sister, full of words that were never meant for my eyes. Words like soulmate. Words like, I have never felt this way about anyone, and the one that broke something permanently inside me. She will never understand what we have. She. I was the thing. I was the thing standing between them and their great love story. And the most devastating part? They both believed they were the good guys. My name is not important. What matters is that I was 34 years old, 7 years into a marriage I thought was solid, and 2 years into watching my husband and my younger sister grow what I told myself was a sweet, innocent friendship. Marcus had always been charming and easy with people. My sister Donnie had always gravitated toward people who made her feel special. I thought I was lucky that the two most important people in my life got along so well. I told friends about it. I actually bragged about it. It is so rare, I used to say, when your husband and your family genuinely like each other. I was bragging about my own betrayal, and I did not even know it. Donnie and I had grown up close but complicated, the way sisters often are. She was 3 years younger, funnier in social situations, quicker to laugh. I was the one who handled things, who made plans, who showed up. When our parents went through a rough patch in our early 20s, I was the one who held the family together while Danny leaned on me. I did not resent her for it. That was just who we were. And when I married Marcus, she was my maid of honor. She cried during the ceremony. I have the photos. I have looked at those photos a lot since this happened, trying to find something in her face that would have warned me. I never find it. Marcus and Donnie's friendship deepened gradually, the way these things always do. It started with inside jokes at family dinners. Then it was them texting each other about a TV show they both liked. Then Donnie would call Marcus directly when she needed advice, instead of calling me. I noticed that one. I even mentioned it once, lightly, the way you do when you do not want to seem jealous or paranoid. Marcus laughed and said I was being silly. Donnie rolled her eyes and said, "Oh my God, are you serious right now?" And I backed down. Because I trusted them. Because I loved them. Because the alternative was too ugly to look at directly. The person who finally made me look directly at it was a woman named Priya. Priya was Donnie's best friend from college, someone I had met maybe a dozen times over the years at birthday parties and the occasional dinner. We were friendly, but not close. She had no reason to do what she did except that she had a conscience and she could not carry the weight of what she knew anymore. She told me later that she had been sitting on this information for almost 3 months, terrified of the fallout, before she finally decided that I deserved to know. 3 months. Donnie had been confiding in Priya for 3 months about her feelings for my husband. And Priya, to her credit, had spent those 3 months trying to talk Donnie out of it before she finally accepted that it was not going to stop on its own. The screenshots came in 4 batches. I remember sitting there watching my phone buzz over and over as they loaded, each one a new piece of a picture I did not want to see completed. The texts went back 14 months. 14 months of Marcus and Danny telling each other things that made my chest feel like it was caving in. They talked about how they had never connected with anyone the way they connected with each other. They talked about how unfair it was that they had found each other too late. Marcus wrote, "At one point, in another life, I think we would have found each other first." And Danny wrote back, "Do not say things like that. It makes this harder." And here is the part that I keep coming back to, even now. They were so proud of themselves for not acting on it. There was a whole thread of texts, maybe 15 messages long, where they essentially congratulated each other for being such good, noble people. Marcus wrote, I love her. I would never hurt her. That is why this has to stay just this. And Danny wrote, I know. We are stronger than this. They were patting themselves on the back for the restraint they were showing while they were actively, daily, emotionally dismantling my marriage. The arrogance of it was breathtaking. But they did not stay. Just this. That is the part Priya warned me about before I even finished reading. She sent a final message after the screenshots that said, there is more. It changed about 6 weeks ago. I am so sorry. And then she sent 3 more images. These were not texts. These were photos Donnie had sent to Priya in confidence, thinking she was sharing with her best friend, not understanding that her best friend had a line she was not willing to cross. I will not describe the photos in detail. What I will tell you is that they confirmed everything, and that after I saw them, I sat in my kitchen for 45 minutes without moving. I did not cry right away. I think I was in shock. I kept picking up my coffee cup and putting it back down without drinking from it. I kept reading the same line of text over and over. She will never understand what we have. And I kept thinking, you are right. I will never understand it, not because I am not smart enough, but because I am not capable of doing what you did. Here is what I did not do. I did not call Marcus. I did not call Danny. I did not post anything online. I did not call my mother. Every single instinct I had was screaming at me to pick up the phone and detonate everything immediately, to make them feel even a fraction of what I was feeling in that moment. But something quieter and colder inside me said, not yet. Wait. I had watched enough of these situations play out around me to know that the person who reacts first almost always loses something in the process. They get painted as unstable. They give the other people time to coordinate their stories. They tip their hand before they have collected everything they need. I was not going to do that. I had been blindsided once. I was not going to let it happen again. I called my best friend Camille first. Camille had been through a divorce herself 4 years earlier, and she knew exactly what I needed to hear, which was, get a lawyer before you do anything else. I had an appointment with a family law attorney by the end of that same day. I walked in with my phone, with every screenshot saved to a cloud folder, and backed up to an external drive I had bought on the way over, and I laid it all out. My attorney's expression did not change much, but she did say, you did the right thing coming here first. We talked about the house, which was in both our names. We talked about joint accounts. We talked about the fact that Marcus and I did not have a prenuptial agreement, which meant the division of assets was going to follow state law. She told me what to document, what not to touch, and what to start quietly moving. I left that office feeling something I had not expected to feel: in control. For the first time since that morning, I felt like I had my feet under me. For 11 days, I lived a double life. I came home to Marcus every evening. I asked about his day. I laughed at things. I texted Danny back when she sent me memes, little heart emojis, the usual noise of a sisterhood I was quietly grieving. And every single day, I was building my case, documenting everything my attorney told me to document, quietly separating my financial life from his. I opened a new account in my name only. I photographed every shared asset. I made a list of every significant purchase we had made together. I was so calm on the outside that Marcus actually told me one night that I seemed really good lately. I almost laughed. I almost laughed right in his face. Instead, I said, I have just been doing a lot of thinking, which was true. On the 12th day, I was ready. I had already retained my attorney formally. I had already spoken to my closest family members, the ones I trusted, before I did anything public. I want to be clear about this. I did not go to my family to gossip or to wound Donnie preemptively. I went to them because I believed they deserved to hear the truth from me, directly, before they heard some other version of it. Our family is close-knit and conservative, the kind of family where this sort of betrayal does not just damage a marriage, it damages everything. My parents, my aunts and uncles, my grandmother, who was 81 years old and still the moral center of every family gathering. I called each of them. I told them what had happened. I sent the relevant screenshots. I kept my voice steady. I did not editorialize. I just let the words Marcus and Donnie had written speak for themselves. The reaction was not what Donnie had been counting on, I suspect. Because here is the thing about people who betray you while telling themselves they are good people. They tend to assume that when the truth comes out, others will see the complexity they see. They think people will understand the feelings, the connection, the inevitability of it. What they do not account for is how it looks from the outside. From the outside, it looked like a husband and a sister had spent over a year deceiving someone who loved and trusted them both, and then crossed a line that could not be uncrossed. There was no complexity visible from that angle. There was just betrayal. I had divorce papers served to Marcus on a Thursday afternoon. He called me 12 times in the hour after. I did not answer. He came home that evening to find that I had already arranged to stay with Camille, and that a letter from my attorney was on the kitchen counter explaining the next steps. I was not there. I had chosen not to be there, not out of cowardice, but because I had already said everything I needed to say. I had said it in the documentation. I had said it in the legal filings. I had said it by finally, after 11 days of silence, forwarding the original screenshots to his parents with a single line. I thought you should know who your son is. Donnie called me 47 times over the following 2 weeks. I know the exact number because I counted them. She left voicemails. She sent a letter, an actual handwritten letter, which I read once and then filed with my attorney in case I ever needed it. In the letter, she said she was sorry. She said she had never meant for this to happen. She said she loved me and that she had hated herself every single day. She said Marcus had pursued her first, which may or may not be true, and which I found I did not particularly care about either way. She said she hoped that someday I could forgive her. I have not responded to any of it. Not because I am punishing her in some calculated way, but because I genuinely do not have anything to say to her right now. The sister I thought I had does not match the person in those screenshots. I am still trying to understand which one was real. The divorce moved faster than I expected. Marcus did not contest much, which my attorney said sometimes happens when someone knows they do not have the moral high ground and they want the process to end. We settled the house, the accounts, everything. I walked away with my financial footing intact, which was the thing I had been most afraid of losing. I had put years of my career and my savings into building a life with him. I was not going to let the ending of it hollow me out financially on top of everything else. My attorney at our final meeting told me I had handled the whole process with unusual composure. I told her I had not felt composed. I had felt like I was walking through wet concrete every single day. But I had kept walking. Priya reached out to me a few months after everything settled. She apologized again, more fully this time, for how long she had waited before telling me. She said she had been afraid of destroying multiple relationships at once, and that she had convinced herself Donnie would end it on her own. I told her I understood, and I meant it. She had been put in an impossible position by someone she trusted, and she had ultimately chosen to do the right thing even knowing it would cost her that friendship. It did cost her. Donnie has not spoken to Priya since. I find that detail very revealing. People ask me sometimes whether I am angry, whether I hate them, whether I want bad things to happen to Marcus and Donnie. And the honest answer is that my feelings about it are not that clean or that satisfying. I was furious for a long time. There were nights in those first weeks at Camille's apartment where the anger was so physical it felt like a fever. But underneath the anger, there was something sadder and harder to name, which was grief. Grief for the marriage I thought I had. Grief for the sister I thought I knew. Grief for all the ordinary moments that I now have to look back on and wonder about. Was she thinking about him at my birthday dinner? Was he thinking about her when he told me he loved me? I do not ask those questions as much anymore. Not because I have answered them, but because I have accepted that some questions do not lead anywhere useful. What I know for certain is this. They told each other they were too good to hurt me, and then they hurt me as badly as two people possibly could. They wrapped their betrayal in the language of love and nobility and self-sacrifice, and they used that language to make themselves feel like the heroes of a story in which I was barely a character. And maybe the most important thing I have learned from all of it is that the people who are loudest about their own goodness are often the ones you need to watch most carefully. Real integrity does not need an audience. It does not need to be narrated in secret text to the person you are betraying someone with. It just quietly does the right thing and moves on. I am not the same person I was on that Tuesday morning when my phone lit up with Priya's message. I do not think I ever will be again. But I am still here. I am in my own apartment now, a place that is entirely mine, with furniture I chose and a kitchen where the coffee does not go cold because I am too shocked to drink it. I have my job, my friends, Camille, who showed up for me in every way a person can show up. I have a clearer understanding of who I am and what I will and will not accept in my life. And I have 50 screenshots saved in a cloud folder that I almost never open anymore. Not because I have forgotten what is in them, but because I do not need to keep reading the story of who they were. I am too busy writing the story of who I am becoming. If you are watching this, and you are in the middle of something like what I went through, here is what I want you to hear. The moment you find out is the worst moment. Everything after it is survivable. You do not have to blow everything up in the first hour. You do not have to perform your pain for anyone. You are allowed to be strategic. You are allowed to take your time. You are allowed to protect yourself first and fall apart later, in private, with people who actually deserve to see you vulnerable. The people who betrayed me counted on me being too emotional to think clearly. They had no idea that the thing they had done to me had made me the most clear-eyed I had ever been in my life. That clarity cost me everything I thought I had, and it gave me back something I did not even know I had lost: myself.